I had a further thought about these tattoos which I found compelling. These tattoos single Brant out as a very violent man. More than that, they identify Brant as a man who is proud of the violence he has committed. A man who considers violence such an important part of his identity that he has to display it on his face for all to see. There is a contradiction here. Brant is one of the 4 Mohawk kings. He's described as a chief of the Bear Clan. This information does not mesh with his appearance. Warriors are not permitted to become chiefs. Chiefs are not permitted to go to war. The Mohawk word for chief translates as keeper of the peace. One of their core charges is upholding the great law of peace. Warriors were unfit for this task because it was seen that those who carry violence in their heart will bring it with them wherever they go. Now, the most obvious explanation for this contradiction is that the English misidentified his position. This happens all the time where any notable Indian is described as a chief. His grandson, the famous Joseph Brant, is often described as a chief, despite his only rank being a captain in the British Army. So it's possible then that Peter Brant might not have been a chief at all. Maybe he was just a war chief, or maybe he was just a bodyguard that they brought along. But that interpretation presents another contradiction. Because if we look at his hair, we see that he wears a civilian cut, not one of the hairstyles associated with warriors. It seems odd to me that he would consider a warrior identity important enough to tattoo on his face, but not important enough to cut his hair. I've thought of an explanation for this. Perceptions and identities change, but tattoos are forever. In the Peacemaker story, the warriors are redeemed and brought over to the path of peace and righteousness. Maybe Brant was an example of this, a man who abandoned being a warrior in order to become a leader. Maybe Brant's tattoos say very little about him at the time the portrait was painted, serving only as a testament to his misspent youth. If all this were the case, I wonder how he felt about the tattoos. Was he still proud of them? Did they perhaps symbolize to him that he is a man of peace who understands war? Or was this a historic case of tattoo regret? A painful reminder for everyone to see that this was once a man who had no regard for the great law of peace and the will of the Creator. A man who killed a lot of people and was proud of that killing. A literal target painted on his face for ad hominem attacks whenever his judgment was in question. Oh, look in the mirror. You're not a keeper of the peace, you're a fraud. Like the meaning of many of the tattoos themselves, it cannot be known with certainty, but I find this painting simply fascinating because it provides enough detail to ask so many questions about this individual.